Well, Russia's war on Ukraine has given added urgency to EU efforts to wean itself off Russian oil and gas. Today, both Poland and Germany have announced plans to address the issue of energy security on the continent. And for more on the impact of the Ukraine war on EU energy supplies, let's bring in Marcin Bużański. He's a senior advisor at the Warsaw Security Forum in the Polish capital, Warsaw. Marcin, I'd like to start with a soundbite from the Polish Prime Minister today and then get your take on it.
Today we are presenting the most radical plan in Europe to move away from Russian hydrocarbons, away from Russian oil, Russian gas, from Russian coal. This most radical plan is needed. It is needed so that finally Europe will wake up. We knew that Russia is using gas and oil, but especially gas, as a tool of blackmail.
Marcin, so Poland is the vanguard in Europe pushing for a complete cut with Russia in oil, gas and coal. Now, we heard this morning that Russia is backing down on its immediate demands for energy payments in rubles. Is the Kremlin feeling pressure now over the threat to its energy exports?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here again. I believe that this whole exchange in terms of paying with rubles for the gas supplies, it's all a publicity stunt. I cannot imagine that the Kremlin expected it will be treated seriously in the face of sanctions and in the face of the ongoing invasion. So I believe they are feeling the pressure. And while, of course, they still have a lot of currency reserves, they can definitely see that the sanctions will have a large impact. And in that view, it's certainly a positive thing that we're seeing coming from Poland. The announcement to cut off all supply of coal, of gas, of oil coming from Russia, and certainly one that was expected from the Polish government, who was making those announcements for a long time, that they'll be willing to do that move, and finally now making it happen, which of course puts even more pressure on Germany to do a similar type of announcement, as we know that has been a difficult case for the German government to decide, but certainly we can see that the pressure will be mounting. And I also think that this is a bigger issue for the European Union, because truly the impact on Russia will be felt by Russia when the EU as a whole is able to cut off the energy supplies from Russia, and that can be made only truly implementing the concept of the energy union. There has been discussion in the recent summit of immediate interventions on the markets in terms of potential of electricity prices, in terms of potential tax cuts to soften the blow, to use this term, and actually allow this common EU blockade to happen. There's no consensus on this, but to really make that felt by Russia, the impact of this move, this is what should be expected from the European Union.
Now, Marcin, we spoke to you about 3 weeks ago after Washington rejected Poland's offer to help transfer MiG-29 jets to Ukraine. Does the current situation show NATO was right to avoid a direct intervention?
Well, the MiGs haven't been really a direct intervention. They would have been an escalation in the type of equipment delivered to Ukraine. But I think if anything that we're seeing is that the Ukrainians are doing a phenomenal job. The Ukrainian army is doing a phenomenal job fighting the Russian forces, and the recent defeats around Kiev, the recent liberations of towns in Ukraine show that they are able to make progress even with the equipment that is delivered right now, which we know very well is still insufficient. So we can only imagine if this engagement would have been increased, what the advances of Ukrainians' populations could be. Now, the case of delivering more equipment is particularly important for the type of equipment that can protect the Ukrainian sky and that can shoot down rockets, shoot down planes. And this is critical not just for the Ukrainian military, but particularly for Ukrainian cities and the Ukrainian population. So this type of escalation, I think, in the delivery is very, very much needed and would have its a positive effect. Now, in terms of direct involvement of troops, of NATO troops on the ground, well, that for sure is too high of a security risk for NATO countries at this point. And in that sense, the decision not to send troops is a standing one and a good, a rational one. But that said, we need to realize the Ukrainians are also fighting our war. It is also a war for our security. If they lose, we will be worse off. So the support provided from NATO needs to be sustained and actually needs to be increased.
Marcin Bużański, Senior Advisor at the Warsaw Security Forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much.